At some point in your life, we're all going to have to do it. We're all going to have to wash a dirty car. Whether you're a teenager and it's your first car, or you're a parent washing your minivan, at some point in time, we're all going to have to wash our cars. And you might think there's really not that much to it. It's just a hose, some soap, a bucket, and a mitt. But whether you're learning to wash a car for the very first time or the 100th time, a lot of damage can be done to a vehicle if you're not sure what you're doing. So as a professional detailer, I wanted to share tips with you on how you can make the car wash process safer, but still keep it fun. So today, we're going to learn how you can master the car wash.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today in the shop, we are working on this brand new 2023 Toyota Camry. As you can see, it's pretty dirty. We've had a lot of rain the last couple of weeks, and it doesn't look like this has been washed since the customer purchased it. This back end right here, it's pretty bad. But what's great is that it is a little bit warmer today. We are in the mid 40s. It's still a little bit cold. You can see my breath. But we're gonna be doing a really good strip wash on this. So for those that enjoy those extremely satisfying wash videos, this is gonna be one that you're going to want to see.
So before we even do our high pressure rinse, and before we even put any sort of contact on this paint, we need to do a foaming pre-soak. We're going to be using an alkaline degreaser that's going to help break down all of the dirt that is sitting on the surface. So that way when we come in to do our rinse step, it's going to be a lot more effective. So we've let the foam sit on there for about a minute. You can see we've got this beautiful latte-esque like slurry at the bottom, as the foam has actually helped me clean. It has taken the dirt with it as it falls off the vehicle. And sometimes I think as detailers, we get caught up in thick cleaning foam, but you actually don't want your foam to cling that much. You want it to do exactly what it has done here. You want it to actually take the dirt with it as it runs off the vehicle. Because if I were to come in and do any sort of contact wash with soap that had stuck to the panel and didn't budge, I'm just taking all that dirt that's kind of encased in the foam and just swishing it all around. So now you can see what a big difference. It's not perfect. I haven't hit it with water yet, but you can see just a big difference that soap, that degreaser was able to do in loosening the dirt and taking it with it. So don't get so focused on thick clinging foam. You want thick foam and you want it to at least give you that extra lubrication, but you may not always need to focus so much on the clinging aspect as the cleaning aspect. Make sense? And we're just gonna hit it with some high pressure water and see what it can actually do for cleaning. I'm gonna come over here and hit this with high pressure water. Let's see what can water do. Which one do you think is better? Our panel is practically clean. We just have some rail dust that we need to do when we do our contact wash and our clay bar treatment, chemical decon. It'll go after all this stuff for us to do proper prep. Over here, we've got a lot of road film, a lot of dirt still on this panel. So that's just a really good visual demonstration for you guys of what a good foaming pre-soak can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a foam cannon. I'm using the IK foamer here. Pick this up off of Car Supply's warehouse. What I like about this is you like to take your vehicle to the car wash. Maybe you don't have access to free-flowing water and you have to take your vehicle to the car wash, but you don't want to use their soaps. It actually can save you a little bit of money. You can do a foaming pre-soak with something like this, and I actually have in here the Purist, their alkaline degreaser mixed up with water. And you can pump this, spray it onto your vehicle just like I did here, let it sit, then come in with the high pressure water that they have at the car wash, blast off a majority of dirt. You can see just how much cleaning it can do. And then you can take it home, take a quick detailer, a waterless wash, a rinseless wash, finish up your process. It's gonna be a lot safer than having to use the brushes at the car wash, but it's going to be more effective than just using high pressure water alone, or sometimes there's soaps that
might be a little bit too strong, too aggressive on your vehicle. So maybe you're a mobile detailer, live in an apartment, or don't have access to free-flowing water. A tool like this can really make a big difference. It can be an investment. They have smaller sizes. You're just going to end up spending a little bit more energy and effort pumping it. This one doesn't take quite as much effort once you have it primed. It does take about 100 pumps to get fully primed, but I can get the entire length of this vehicle with the foamer before I have to come back in. So we're gonna actually spray the entire vehicle, tires and wheels even, with our alkaline degreaser and just let it sit. Let it work for me, so that way when I come in to do the cleaning stage, I don't have to put as much energy out, as much time, and also I don't have the potential of scratching any of our finishes because I've gotten a majority of the dirt off, especially our carpeted or felt wheel liners. This is going to do a great job at going after all of that mud and dirt and debris, almost to the point where I don't have to be super aggressive and come in with brushes. Can also use a compressor if you have it, but I like a little bit of exercise. What's nice is you can put your feet right here, kind of hold it in place. Wait, it's not moving around on you. I just pretend I'm giving CPR to someone. I normally count to 100 and then I know it's fully pumped, but it was already like halfway pumped when I used it, so we don't have to go as much. I know, get to it already, right? All right, I think we're good. I'm gonna lock that in. And if you wanted to use the air compressor to fill it up, you can connect it right here. This is your pressure release valve. You can take this with you. Easy way. And for those that want to kind of transport this around, once you lock your handle in, it's very easy to carry it around. It's not heavy at all. They have different tips for different foam densities. You can have a thinner foam, thicker foam, and kind of that sweet spot. This is that kind of sweet spot. I don't like a super heavy, thick foam. Some of you really enjoy that, but I just kind of like a medium foam. I find that it allows the foam to actually kind of drip off and work for me versus just kind of sticking on there. So now that we are pumped and ready to go, let's go ahead and get her sprayed. That was just on one round of pumping it up. So until they invent scratch and sniff TV, let me just try to express to you how good the alkaline degreaser smells from Purist. It's their signature scent. It's like kind of like a sandalwood scent or a little cologne-y scent, but it smells so good. I know that there's a couple products that I gotta use coming up that aren't gonna smell as good, so I'm enjoying this while I can. It's still clinging though, and we've got like all that nasty slurry. Let me show you what's going on with our soap. The sprayer did a really nice job of getting back, way back into areas that I might not even be able to reach normally with a sprayer. You can see it is a higher alkaline degreaser. It's actually removing browning from our tires, and it took a lot of the brake dust that was on these wheels off with it. So when I come in to do my high pressure rinse, cleaning these tires and wheels is going to be so much safer and easier. Ew. It's kind of pretty though. What do you think? Yes or no?
So for those that are wanting to become more efficient with their wash process and also wanting to be safer when washing their vehicle, just take notice, I am using a pressure washer. You don't necessarily have to go out and buy an expensive gas-powered one. I actually use a very affordable Ryobi 1900. But having a pressure washer is really going to be kind of a game changer for those that are wanting to become more efficient, as well as make their wash step safer. If I were to try to use a standard hose, I would not have enough force or pressure to be able to blast off all this dirt to really make this foaming pre-soak step beneficial. And so even just a very affordable pressure washer is going to make a big difference. Now, I did upgrade my sprayer. I did upgrade my hose just because of the amount of time that I'm using a pressure washer. I wanted something that would withstand, but even the The basic hose and sprayer that comes with those units would be more than sufficient for residential use. I've done videos on my setup in the past, but for those of you that are looking for an affordable pressure washer setup, I'll put the links to everything that I use down below, as well as the link to that video for those of you that may want to check it out. But you don't need to spend a lot of money to get quality products, but it's going to make a huge difference in the long run with washing your vehicles.
I don't know about you, but that is super satisfying and extremely gross. I haven't had a really dirty vehicle like this in quite some time. I'm actually really thankful that it's white because it is just extremely satisfying.
So hopefully you've noticed with all of these really dramatic pan shots is that I'm letting the product sit and dwell, giving it time to work for me.
A big improvement. I can actually see white now. Let's go ahead and give her a blast.
So we're actually washing this vehicle on a cool and cloudy day. That's actually perfect weather for washing a vehicle. You don't really want to wash a vehicle at peak sun on an extremely hot weather. So ideally, if you are going to use a foaming pre-soak and it's summer weather, you want to make sure you're doing this early morning, late afternoon, out of direct sunlight.
The vehicle has under 400 miles on it, and take a look at that. We actually already have rail dust on the vehicle. That's these little orange speckles. Every vehicle has it, but you can really see it on white vehicles. And what that is our bonded contaminant, our ferrous metal, our iron deposits. There's so many different terms for it. It's hot, it's actually embedded. If I were to come in here with just soap and water, I couldn't remove it. We're gonna use our chemical decon, our clay bar treatment, and it will remove it. If these were to stay on the paint, eventually they would turn to rust. So it's very easy to remove with your decontamination step. That's why it's imperative that we do this step. But we've already done our foaming pre-soak. I can still see some of the dirt kind of settling on here, so we'll have to do another rinse before we come in and do our contact wash, because that just looks like sand. We don't want to rub that into the paint for sure.
So even though at this point I haven't actually put any sort of contact on the vehicle, we've already been able to make a huge impact in cleaning it and making our wash process so much safer. A lot of times this step is missed or overlooked or underestimated for its value. A lot of people think foaming pre-soaks, foaming cannons, they're just kind of more for aesthetic, but when you're using the right product, it can make a world of a difference and really be a game changer for washing your vehicle, but it can also be fun.
So just after doing our high pressure rinse, our foaming pre-soak, you can see we've made a huge impact on being able to remove the grime and the dirt that was on this vehicle. We still have to do our front end, and that will help remove a lot of the bugs that are on the front end. But for a lot of my customers that ask me, you know, what are some ways that I can improve my wash process to make it safer? It really is just in very small changes. You don't have to invest a lot of money to be able to do this yourself. I have a Ryobi 1900. I picked this up from Home Depot. You can use the hoses that come with it. I like ones that are a little bit more durable and are longer, just because I'm working on big vehicles. And I did invest in a better quality pressure gun just because I wanted something that's going to be able to withstand the abuse that I am putting my tools under on a daily basis. But again, you don't necessarily have to get a foaming sprayer this big. I like it because of how frequently I'm using it. I want something that's just gonna be able to withstand a little bit more of the abuse, but they have smaller units. I'll put the links for them down below that are gonna give you still the same exact results. You just might have to pump it a little bit longer, but just making very small changes in your wash process can make a big impact on being able to preserve the clear coat on your vehicle.
So when it comes to foaming pre-soaps, these are some of the ones that I have here in my arsenal that I will use for customers. And really, it's going to be based on the user experience that you're looking for. The price, obviously, if you're a professional detail shop and you're looking for something in bulk that's going to be more affordable, the Koshemi Active Foam and their Super Foam are two really great options to consider. I will put the links for all these products down below if you want to do some research and do some price shopping, because I know that's something that's really important to me. You want to be profitable, but you want products that are going to perform really well for you. If you have protection on your vehicle, ceramic coating, and you want something that's pH neutral, then their Gentle Snow Foam is going to be a really great option for you to consider. It's a cleaning soap, but really nice thick foam, and it's not going to weaken your protection. We have something that's 9.5 here, that Active Foam, a little bit more alkaline, but as you dilute it with water, it's going to be closer and closer to neutral for you to use. This is a really popular kind of everyday soap for detailers that are looking to clean the vehicle really well, maybe not do a thorough strip wash. And this is where the Super Foam soap, I did a video comparison on the Super Foam and Wash Chems Pro 100 recently. This was one of my go-to products, but it's pretty expensive for me as a detailer. Now, some of you might only want a bottle this size. You may not need 5-liter jug. So you might, benefit from having a product more this size. But again, if size is an issue and price, there are still some really affordable options for you to try. 3D Super Soak, I've had really great results with this product. Maybe doesn't have as pleasant of a smell as some of these other products here, but it works really well. You can pick this up off of Car Supplies Warehouse. In fact, if you use coupon code Chelsea10, all of these products here are sold on their site. For those of you that maybe you really enjoy just trying out new products, these are pretty affordable for you to test out and have a really nice user experience and still save some money. And from Purist, this was the soap that we used for our degreasing today. This was their alkaline degreaser. They do have a more mild alkaline snow foam for those that maybe you don't want to have something as high alkaline. The alkaline snow foam is a great option if you have a coated vehicle or protection on there that you want to try to preserve. You can pick this up. It's going to have the same great scent, nice thick foam, but maybe not be as pungent of a cleaner that it might preserve your protection. And then obviously Vonix Citron. This is a higher alkaline. You can see it's about an 11-12 on their scale. This is a thicker soap, and it's going to be what we put into our wash buckets for today. You can actually see just how thick it is. I like soaps sometimes that have a little bit more thickness to them. They're just going to give you extra lubrication as you wash, so that's why we're putting this in our wash bucket, and that's why we used these as our degreaser. You can put this in your wash bucket, but I think it performs a little bit better when you use it as a foaming pre-soak. All of these are great options. I'll put the links to all of them down below. I'm not going to tell you buy this one or that one, because really they all have their different uses, but you can't go wrong when you have any of these in your arsenal.
Last but not least, before we put any sort of contact onto our vehicle, we need to discuss our wash method.
Now, you might see this and say, she's going to say the 2-bucket wash method. Well, it's 2 buckets, but this one is for my tires and wheels, and this one is for my wash. Now, I will put a grit guard at the bottom of my wash bucket, and what that does is as you're washing any dirt that might be on your mitt, it's going to help that dirt settle into the bottom of your wash bucket, so that way when you come in, it's not going to be as likely to be stirred up and put back onto your mitt. Now, you don't want to be like super aggressive, and because water is still, I don't care what you do here, my grit guard is still spinning around, dirt's still going to be moving, but you can even use the grit guard as kind of an abrasive pad to rub or massage your mitt onto to kind of get some of that dirt in there. And there's so many different grit guards on the market. This is one that I have found is very affordable. It still works really nice. But what I will also do is I will take a second grit guard, especially on dirty vehicles. I'll have it outside of the bucket. One in, one out.
instead of having a 2-bucket. And a lot of people, when you might be saying, what is a 2-bucket wash method? They'll have one for their soapy water and one for just a rinse. And what they'll do is they'll wash their vehicle with their mitt. They'll take their mitt, let's say this is our rinse, this is our wash. What they will do is put their mitt into this rinse bucket, rinse all the dirt off, and then they'll take their mitt and then put it into their soap. I used to use that technique, but I actually found that by the time I was done washing a vehicle, that both buckets were dirty. This one didn't keep all the dirt in here, and this one didn't stay clean. So really, what is the benefit of me doing that other than wasting more water? I have a well here at my house, so I have to be mindful. I've already used a lot of water with my high pressure rinse. So what I will actually do is tires and wheels. This is my soap bucket. And what I will do with that second grit guard, if there's a lot of dirt on my mitt, I can put my mitt kind of on this grit guard, blast it with my pressure washer. That'll blow a majority of the dirt off. It's essentially just as effective, but I'm not necessarily putting my mitt back into a dirty bucket, and I'm blasting it off, and then I can put it back into my soap bucket. I find that that has worked really well for me, and that way I don't necessarily have to have 3 buckets floating around my house. We have 2 buckets here, tires, wheels, wash. We have really nice wheel bucket dollies. That way I can get around a vehicle quickly. I don't have to break my back carrying around 5 gallons of water. So we've discussed the high pressure rinse, the foaming pre-soak, even how many buckets you need to be able to safely wash a vehicle, or just realistically how many you need to safely wash a vehicle. But it would be silly of me not to discuss 2 of the more obvious things on how to have a safer wash method, and that is your wash media, your wash mitt, and your drying towel. Now, there are so many different options on the market. It can be overwhelming trying to figure out what is the best one. And some of them can be actually really expensive. So do you have to spend $40, $50, $60 for a premium grade microfiber? Or can you get by with maybe the $5 Walmart version? Well, sometimes with microfibers, you actually are going to get what you pay for it out as far as value. Oftentimes your more premium grade microfibers, they're going to be a thicker microfiber, a higher GSM. They're going to be way more absorbent, so you're not going to have to buy as many of them, but they're also going to have kind of a thicker fabric that if there is any dirt left behind, it's going to be able to be pulled into the microfiber versus just kind of sitting on the surface. So some standard rules of what not to use. You don't want to use a sea sponge. You don't want to use kind of an old rag or towel that's laying around the house. You definitely don't want to use a ShamWow or a squeegee to dry your vehicle off. But I know a lot of my customers, what I see or hear from them is they're using a sea sponge or just some sort of cheap sponge knockoff from Walmart. They're great for holding soap, but they're not great for having the dirt to go anywhere. So it's just going to kind of sit on the surface, and as you wash your vehicle, you're just going to be abrading all that dirt around the surface of the paint. So you want definitely a microfiber to wash your vehicle with. Can you get by with a $5 one? It will probably do a decent job. I like this one just because of how much soap it holds. It's super forgiving on the paint. It just glides across it almost like silk. But what's really nice is we've got this soft microfiber. The dirt will get pulled into it as you're washing the vehicle, but then when you put that wash mitt into your soapy water, it does a really nice job of just very easily releasing the dirt, so that way there's less risk of scratching your paint. And then when it comes to your drying towels, again, there's tons of options. I'll put the link to some of my favorite down below. This is the Luxury Microfiber Mule Towel. It's actually 2 towels sewn together, so it's gonna be super absorbent. It's really soft. I can dry an entire vehicle with 1 towel, so a little bit of an investment, but you're gonna get what you put into a lot of these tools that you use for your vehicle. But we have the Rag Company Gauntlet Towel, Auto Fiber Dreadnought, some really great options. Again, links will be all down below for those of you. I'm not gonna say buy this one. I'm giving you options to be able to make the best choices moving forward. But another thing to consider when it comes to microfibers is you wanna make sure you are maintaining them properly. A lot of times I'll see family members or have people tell me, they'll use a drying towel, and then once they're done, they'll kind of lay it over somewhere, let it air dry, and then the next time they go to wash your vehicle, they just grab that towel right back and they're reusing it. You want to make sure you are laundering your wash mitts and your drying towels properly. You want to avoid any sort of fabric softeners, dyes, perfumes when you launder your microfibers. You can use something as simple as all free and clear. Even white vinegar to wash, it's going to help remove any sort of hydrophobics that might land on them during the wash process. It's going to replenish kind of the plushness and the capability to absorb water. And it's just going to be a lot safer the next time you go to wash your vehicle. You have a nice, fresh, clean towel and microfiber, and you're not taking old dirt and just rubbing it all over your paint. It doesn't matter how many steps you take. All of these things are really integral. And again, it's just very small changes that you have to make to be able to make a big impact on how well your vehicle is maintained and appears over the next several years. A lot of people just see their vehicle as a means of transportation, but for those of you that actually see your vehicle as an investment, you're gonna actually get a really great return on your investment when you just make really small, simple changes to your maintenance process that are gonna really pay dividends off in the long run. You're not gonna have to pay hundreds of dollars to someone like me or invest hundreds of dollars in polishers and polishes and pads because you're not going to have to polish your vehicle as quickly. So it's the little things that really count.
So because we were working on a cloudy day, we did our foaming pre-soak first, our high pressure rinse, and then we came in, did our tires, wheels, and wheel wells, as well as door jams. If this was a sunny day, you would want to save your foaming pre-soak and your high pressure rinse for after you've done your tires, wheels, and wheel wells and door jams, so that way you don't run the risk of having any sort of water spotting issues. But now we're ready to go ahead and do our contact wash. We're using our Vonic Citron soap. We're also going to add a touch of Turtle Wax Pure soap. We're gonna actually foam this on with our foam cannon. You can use the foam cannon instead of the IK foamer, but I'm actually going to foam on the pure soap. This is just going to give me a little bit of extra lubrication. We are getting this vehicle ready for a ceramic coating, and so I'm trying to be as safe as possible to help reduce the risk of any sort of scratching or marring on the paint. So that way when I come in to do my polish step, I don't have to polish as much.
So because we're getting this ready for a ceramic coating, we're gonna keep working because we can't stop at this point. I need to do my chemical decon, my clay towel treatment. We'll rinse that again and then dry it off. But for those that really all you care about is learning how to safely wash your vehicle, at this point, that is exactly what we have done. Now we just need to safely dry it. You can use your microfiber drying towel. You can even use something like a ceramic drying aid or a ceramic detailer, like 1 or 2 sprays on your panels. It's gonna add lubrication as you dry. It's going to stack your protection. If you have a coating, that's a great way to kind of replenish the protection on your vehicle. If you have an unprotected vehicle, it's just a quick way to add something small. It's gonna be weakened because obviously you have some water, so it's gonna dilute it ever so slightly. But to get something on, better than nothing, it's a very quick way to dry your vehicle. And I've done tons of videos on drying aids in the past. I'll put some of the links to the products that I would recommend as a drying aid. In fact, the Phoenix EOD Titan is one that I sell here at my shop. For any local customers that are watching this that you want to pick up something in person, I have that in stock here in my shop, and that would be perfect in this moment to help dry your vehicle, give you extra lubrication, add protection, and the gloss and shine that it's going to put off is going to make you feel like you just spent hours detailing it. Now, it did take a long time for me to talk this through, but essentially once you do your high pressure rinse, foaming pre-soak, tires, wheels, wheel wells, door jams, then you can just wash. I added a little bit of extra soap with the Turtle Wax Pure soap. It's my favorite soap lately. It just pairs so perfectly with this wash mitt to just glide across the surface. And if we were to actually come in and look at our wash bucket, we still have a lot of soap from the Citron. It didn't push away, but if we were to kind of try to peek through, and I actually have a clear bucket, but you can actually see our water, for the most part, it's still blue. It's not really murky or dirty. So the technique that I shared, as far as when you're washing, it works really well when you do it properly. So we're gonna add a little bit more of the pure soap into our bucket to give us some extra lubrication as we come in, do our chemical decon, clay towel treatment, rinse, dry, keep moving. We'll move on to our polish step, apply our coating, and then we will show you guys the finished result. So for those that want to see what this vehicle looks like once everything has been done, stay tuned. We'll share that with you guys at the very end of the video. I'm not gonna really show you guys the polishing step, the coating application. I've done tons of videos on how to do that in the past. So for those that want to see the after, stay tuned. We will get to that in just a very short while.
So now we're moving on to our decontamination step, and I'm including this because even though this may not be a part of your routine maintenance wash process, every vehicle is going to need to have this done at some point in its life, and I do recommend at least once a year that you do this process. This vehicle is brand spanking new, and you can already see reactions that we have going on. The purple dots are actually our chemical decon reacting with iron deposits on the paint.
Under 400 miles. The back end is always going to be the heaviest because that's where the majority of your dirt kicks up to. It's one of the stinkier ones that I've used in a while, but it works. And it's actually pretty affordable. Some of them can be actually really expensive, so if you're coating your own vehicle and you need something that is thicker, that's going to give us nice lubrication when we come in with our clay towel. And you can see it just kind of loosens the deposit. It's my husband honking at me. It loosens the deposit, breaks it up. And you can just see it releases the chemical bond of the ferrous metal. You can see when we come in and agitate. Before I couldn't get that off if I just kind of gently come in. So it will remove all over the vehicle. And a lot of times this can happen even on a brand new vehicle just from how it's transported into the dealership. If it's transported in on a train, hence rail dust, that's where you're going to get it. But if it's being brought in on a semi-truck, heavy construction, a lot of traffic, so even if you have a brand new vehicle, don't skip on this step. And it's going to give us a little bit of cushion with our clay towel because clay towel can mar. I specifically use the Rag Company one because I find it is one of the gentler ones. We do have some artillery fungus as well, which is mulch or mold spores. Our clay towel will remove that. But it can mar the paint, so I want the extra lubrication on my soap and of this product. It's one of the stinkier ones that I have used recently, but the benefits of it outweigh the smell. Just make sure you wash your clothes before you hug anyone, or else they're gonna say you smell like a rotten egg and perm dye.
For those that may not want to deal with any sort of clay towel marring on the paint, you can also use a clay bar that might be more gentle on the paint. It's still an abrasive, you still might do some light scratches, but if you are not planning on polishing your paint afterwards, a clay bar can be the more gentler of the two. It just takes a lot more time and a little bit more energy.
For those who have never used a clay towel before, I'm not pushing down. I'm literally just guiding the clay towel over the surface. The soap really helps, but between the Iser and the Pure, there's just so much slickness on this surface. My hands are just almost slimy. They work really well together. So I'm not scrubbing, I'm not gouging, I'm just kind of pushing. If there's anything to tell yourself when you're doing this, just glide. My final piece of advice, have fun. For many of us, washing a car, it's therapy. You might be thinking to yourself, that's a lot of products, it's a lot of tools. Honestly, to me, I don't mind it because it just makes this process all the more enjoyable for me. I don't like working hard on things that I can't really see the end result for it. I can't see the value in it. With my car, I can see the value. The before and after, for me, it's what it's all about. And so enjoy the process and just have fun with it. Don't overthink it. At the end of the day, it is a car. It's not a person. So don't work so hard on it that you're neglecting other areas of your life.
So the final step, we're going to rinse everything off thoroughly, get all of that residue off, and then come in with our drying towels, dry our vehicle. At this point, you can either move on to your polish and coating step, if that is what you are doing, or you can apply a protectant and you're done. And when I say a protective coating, that could be a wax, a sealant, a ceramic sealant, even a ceramic coating. It could be as simple as a spray and rinse product or something that's a little bit more involved. And I've done tons of videos on products that I would recommend, but this is the most important step of the wash process. You want to make sure that at the very end, either your vehicle has existing protection on there or you apply some sort of protection that's going to give you UV resistance that will help prevent oxidation in the future, but will also make the maintenance process moving forward that much easier. Your dirt's going to blast off so much quicker with just a high pressure rinse. You may not even necessarily need such a strong foaming pre-soak step. This vehicle had no protection on it whatsoever. And so that's why we needed to go with a lengthier foaming pre-soak step. But at the end of the day, my job as a professional detailer is not simply just to wash cars, but it's to wash cars safely as well as help make maintenance easier for my customers moving forward. And we've been able to do just that with this. So I know this was a longer video, but there's a lot more involved with safely washing a vehicle than most might think. But hopefully you've been able to learn something through this video. And if you have, give us a thumbs up. But we're going to put the links to all of the products that we discussed in the video description down below. But hopefully this will give you the tools to be able to master the car wash for yourself like a pro and make washing your vehicle simple, easy, and fun. But thanks guys for watching. We'll see you in the very next detail.